Good day, everybody. Darren Yankee here with Echo Y Farms. Just another part of the water system project that we have been working on. This particular water is about 6,000 feet away from the well. And at this particular point, we are at 100 feet elevation above the well location. So we're running 6,000 feet back to this point. Plus, we are 100 feet above the well. So when you're talking about water pressure and gallons per minute and things like that, the size of the water line is important and the pressure that you are supplying. Also, the distance of line that you are running. So it's all calculated into the figures to figure out how much pressure you need at the well and how big a water line system you should have. So we'll look down in the center of this cup. This is a insulated top portion. The second section down is insulated, and then the bottom section is non-insulated. We have a T fitting in there. We have two lines coming, or one line coming in to this one, and then we have one line going out that are 1.25 inches to the hydrant over on the fence line, which I'll show you in a minute. And then we have the fitting off the end there with an elbow on it to feed the winter water cup itself. So we have 1.25 inch line coming in and one going back out to the hydrant. So I'll just turn on this valve, and I just got done running it to relieve the pressure on the pressure tank to kind of show you where we're at, how much we are having for pressure at the back end of the farm. So this is with the pressure tank full of pressure. Like I said, we got 100 psi back at the farm, at the well. But the longer I leave this on, the less and less pressure I do have, because we do have a 80 psi to 100 psi switch on the pressure tank. So it varies between 100 psi and 80. But as we kind of bleed down the system a little bit, you can see that I'm losing pressure. It ain't shooting quite as far as it did when I first turned it on. But I'm getting quite a few gallons out of this line. The other day we had a guy here and he's like, his house pressure at his kitchen sink is not this good as we have way at the far end of our farm. But I don't think I'd have this much pressure if I went with an inch pipe. The 1.25 inch pipe really makes a difference when you're starting to go this far of distance. Like I say, we're over 6,000 feet to this location and 100 feet above elevation. But you see how my pressure is really cutting back now? How far I'm not shooting it. But I won't lose much more than this. This is about the minimum pressure I will have at this point. I'm going to turn it off, as all we're doing is wasting water. And it's running down into my hole I got to finish filling in. Yeah, so it's pretty impressive being this far away from the well, and we do have that kind of pressure yet. And capacity. I mean, that's a lot of gallons just got pumped in, what do you say, a minute? But we do got to finish filling these in. We got to get some more dirt around the base of that, and then we got to start layering it with breaker rock, and then we'll put some fiber mesh down and put some gravel on top of it. So at the end of the day, there will only be about 15 inches of that black tube sticking above the ground. And this current location, we didn't get that water as deep as we like to have it. So the water lines are in the ground coming to and from it at 6 foot. And we did get the water in the ground a little bit deeper than 6 foot, but not a whole lot, as we are sitting on solid rock at that point. So we had to just kind of take what we got. So like I said, there's a water line coming out of there. So we spliced it underneath the cup. And then we're running this full flow 1.25 inch water hydrant. And now this will have some fittings on it that will run into an 1.25 inch hose that will go down to our water pipe. So we currently have water pipe above the ground for the summer use, as you can see right here. And that's getting supplied right now by a hydrant on the same pressure system, but at a different location on the farm. And at this point, we are kind of short on water on that line. It works, but it'd be nice to have a little bit more water if we could. So adding this hydrant here kind of made a shortcut for us cutting across this hillside. So we're hoping to have more water flow out of this hydrant to supply the cattle for summer water use. But I haven't had this one on yet since we installed it, so I just turned it on. And it looks like we have a pretty good flow of water coming out of that hydrant. That's a full flow hydrant, so there ain't nothing restricting 1.25 inches right through that hydrant. So I'd say that's probably adequate for our summer water use. So I'm pretty happy with that. We installed 3 new hydrants in our system this time around that are hooking onto the existing above ground lines. So that should help build more pressure in our system because we're cutting, like I say, making shortcuts through the fields and things like that. Instead of going up and down the hills to get to certain watering points, adding these extra hydrants should help a pile. So what we'll probably do now is we'll run them for 1 year and kind of see if we can like cap a line off and have this one hydrant only feed like 4,000 feet of line and have another hydrant feed 4,000 feet of line instead of having them all connected together. Because currently we are looking at about 30,000 feet of 1.25 inch water line we have on our pasture system. Whether it's in ground or above ground line, we have about 30,000 feet of line right now. Crazy numbers. All ran off that one well for the most part. We do have a couple thousand feet of that ran off of a separate well at a different farm. It's all connected. The farm's all connected, but at a different end of the farm on the north side. But you can see where we came through with that tile plow and plowed that line in. We came in and disted it down with a old Oliver disc. And that looks pretty nice, don't it? It might settle down some more yet, but it's kind of humped up where the plow came through. Not much work will be needed to get this back into tip-top shape. But anyways, yeah. Thanks for following along, everybody. And that's kind of what we're up to today. We're just kind of getting these waters kind of tidied up. And I'll get another video of us installing the gravel around them. But it is raining out today, so the gravel will have to wait till another day. Y'all have a good one.